It was a night when the city slept under the dim light of broken street lamps. The wind carried the smell of dust, the echo of footsteps, and the silence of forgotten streets. At the corner of the road, beside a heap of garbage lay torn fabrics, crushed cans, twisted wires, and abandoned shoes. People passed quickly, unwilling to look, unwilling to breathe near it. But one girl stopped. Her name was Ira. Ira bent down, her hands brushing against the dirt, her eyes catching a glimpse of color hidden beneath the dust. It was just a piece of cloth, faded, ripped, useless. Anyone else would have kicked it aside, but she lifted it with care, folded it against her chest and whispered, "You are not finished yet." That night, in her small room where a single bulb flickered and shadows danced on the walls, Ira spread the cloth on the table. She touched it as if it were silk, imagining shapes no one else could see. She worked through the night, cutting, stitching, layering, her fingers moving like a painter with a brush. By dawn, what once was garbage had turned into a jacket, rough, uneven, but alive. She wore it to the market. People stared. Some laughed. "She's wearing trash," they whispered. But she walked with her head high, each step carrying the weight of her dream. Because Ira was not just wearing a jacket. She was wearing a story. Days turned into weeks, and every night she collected scraps from alleys and bins. Plastic wrappers became skirts, metal tabs became jewelry, torn jeans turned into bold coats. Her room overflowed with colors that once belonged to trash. She wore them proudly, not caring about the stares, until one afternoon a photographer saw her crossing the street. He didn't laugh. He didn't mock. He raised his camera and clicked. That photo spread across the internet like fire. "Who is this girl wearing art made from waste?" people asked. Curiosity turned into fascination. Ira had unknowingly planted the first seed of what the world would soon call scrap fashion. Others joined her. Young students with nothing but creativity, artists tired of rules, designers who wanted to shout against waste. Together, they created clothes from what the world had thrown away. A dress of newspapers that whispered yesterday's stories. Shoes cut from old tires that stomped like thunder. Jackets stitched from plastic bags that floated like silk in the wind. The first fashion show was held in a tiny hall with flickering lights and chairs that creaked. The audience was small, but when the first model walked out wearing a gown made of shimmering bottle caps, silence swept the room. Another followed, in a coat of patchwork denim torn from forgotten jeans. The crowd couldn't look away. For the first time, they saw trash transform into treasure before their very eyes that night. Applause shook the walls. Scrap fashion was no longer just Ira's dream. It had become a movement. But every movement meets resistance. Critics mocked, calling it a circus. "Fashion is luxury," they said. "Fashion is silk, velvet, diamonds, not garbage." Ira heard them, but she smiled. She knew fashion was never about cost. It was about vision, about telling stories through threads and seams. As years passed, the whisper grew into a roar. Scrap fashion reached Paris, Milan, New York. Runways glittered not with jewels, but with recycled glass, stitched plastics and forged metal. Reporters wrote headlines, cameras flashed, audiences gasped. What began in a silent alley was now on the world's brightest stage. The moment that changed everything came on a red carpet. A world-famous actress stepped out of her car, lights exploding around her. Reporters screamed her name, cameras clicked endlessly. But the world froze when they realized her gown wasn't silk. It was made from ocean plastic, collected from polluted beaches. It shimmered like water under the spotlight. Every curve telling the story of waves suffocated by waste. The dress wasn't just beauty, it was rebellion. That night, scrap fashion became a revolution. And still, Ira worked in her small room, surrounded by piles of scraps. Fame never touched her heart because for her, every torn cloth and twisted wire still whispered the same words. "We are not finished yet." Scrap fashion grew, but it was never just about clothes. It was about memory, about a world drowning in its own waste, about the courage to pull beauty out of ugliness. Every outfit was a protest, every runway a battlefield, every stitch a reminder. The world throws too much away, but if you look closely, what we call waste may be the beginning of something extraordinary. And now wherever you go, you may find them, the dreamers, the believers, the creators of scrap fashion. They search through forgotten piles, bend over dusty corners, and carry home pieces no one wants. With fire in their eyes and needles in their hands, they breathe life into the lifeless. Because beauty does not ask for gold. It does not demand luxury. It demands vision. And vision can be found anywhere, even in the trash at your feet. So the next time you throw away an old shirt, a plastic bottle, or a torn shoe, remember this. Someone like Era may pick it up. Someone may cut it, stitch it, shape it into something that makes the world stare in wonder. And one day that piece of trash might walk past you again, not as garbage, but as glory. That is the story of scrap fashion, a story that began in silence, grew in laughter, survived in doubt, and now stands tall on the world's stage. A story that will not end, because as long as there is waste, there will be dreamers. And as long as there are dreamers, there will be beauty.